Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into this yin yoga video. Winter is the season of the water element, and that's related to our bladder and our kidney lines. From a physical sense, that's our spine, right? The line that goes from the bottoms of our feet all the way up our back body, attaching to our forehead. And then the kidney line, which runs down the front board body. You can think of kind of that core area that supports the spine. And then the inner leg line, which supports our core. So we're going to start off or kind of work the whole class today in spine movement in different ways. We'll start off with doing some back bending, right, which will have this effect of opening up our heart, right, staying open as things are cold, as we come into our New Year's routines and things aren't going so well, we can kind of contract. So we'll stay nice and open. And so for these poses, you'll want to have a yoga block with maybe something cushy you can put over it. If you've got a bolster, great, gorgeous ball, that might work too. And then the second half of class, we'll kind of come upright, we'll clear it with a twist, and then we'll work into opening up the back of the heart a little bit, right? So not just the front of the heart, the back of the heart. And so this will be our flexion, and we'll open up the vertebrae in the back of the spine, create some space there, and all the same props really for that too. Okay, I'm gonna get back over onto the mat, and we're gonna start upright, and we'll do a little bit of arm, shoulder, neck awakening to kind of get us ready for this class. So sit in whatever way feels comfortable for you, even if it's in a chair. We're really just gonna focus on the upper body here. And you just wanna feel like you're able to sit comfortably. And we'll start with some shoulder rolls. So one thing, right? We're kind of these cerebral beings, and we process everything with our eyes and with our thinking. And so our head kind of wants to lead, right? Make sure your head is back. Make sure the back of your neck is soft. Make sure your chin isn't kind of jutting out. And then we've got this nice tall spine from there. We'll take some shoulder movements. As we inhale, we'll bring the shoulders up. And then we exhale back and down. And we'll do this about 3 times, moving with your own breath. You don't have to be in sync with me. And then when it feels good, you can switch directions, go back and up as you inhale, and forward and down as you exhale. We'll take the arms up nice and wide with the palms facing up. We'll shrug our shoulders up towards our ears as we take a breath in. And then let's have a long extended breath out as we really accentuate dropping and holding the shoulders down. Inhale, we shrug up. Exhale, we let it fall out. Okay, the arms can come down. We'll take the right arm out with the thumb facing down. Back of palm is facing forward, right? Bending at the elbow. Back of hand comes to the lower back. My chin stays back. I try to soften this right shoulder down, and then I'll let my left ear drop to my left shoulder. And the head will come up. You can release the right arm, and we'll try that to the other side. The left arm comes out, thumb facing down. As I bend, back of my hand comes to my lower back somewhere. Mindfully soften that left shoulder. Make sure my chin isn't reaching forward as I let the right ear come to the right shoulder. Letting someone else in the room, keep breathing, and then you can release. Welcome new people hopping on. Right, and this is a good message for everybody, but just make sure when you hop on that you mute, right? Sometimes when we come on, we might be unmuted and then the camera will be on you, right? Okay, great. So where were we, right? We're doing some shoulder work. We're going to do a little bit for the wrist. So go ahead and hold your left hand as if you had something in your palm, right? Maybe a tray. And then go ahead and bring your wrist so it's closer towards your chest, not really sticking out away from you. Your right hand will swim under, and then gently wrap your fingers around your thumb and give a little pull to stretch out the connective tissue in our palm here. And we'll move to each finger, and it's just a gentle pull. There's so much, pretty much everything we do with our hand contracted, that the tissue in the palm gets really tight. And our heart and our lung meridians start within our fingers. So even tightness down here, making your way through the fingers, even tightness down here has that pulling forward effect on our shoulders. Okay, right hand, we've got our palm up. We bring it close towards our chest, and the left hand will swim under. Gently hold that right thumb just for a little pull, a little stretch. And the pointer. And the middle finger. And the ring finger. And pinky finger. Great. Okay. We've got one more, and it's Stargazer Pose. Basically looks like you're hanging out at the beach. So if you're sitting on something, go ahead and bring your bottom to the mat so that you're not sitting on said prop anymore or chair. And you'll have your legs out in front of you, and then lean back. Press the palms down into the ground. Doesn't matter which way they're facing right now. And this is helping, right? The weight of our torso, leaning back to open up the connective tissue in the hands. And if you really press the arms down, you can almost lift the heart. You can feel that line traveling from your fingers across your chest. Take a few breaths. Right, and then feel your shoulder blades coming together on your back. That creates a little pillow for your neck. You can let your head lift up and drop back. If it's not comfortable, you don't have to do it for too long, but we'll stay or at least hold the space for a few more moments. Slowly tuck the chin, lift the head if the head is back. And then we're going to go ahead and switch the placement of our hands. So if your fingertips were facing away from you, now you can have your fingertips facing your seat, or if your fingertips were facing seat, now they can face away. And this will just stretch the wrist in a different way, the forearm in a different way, different energy line. Same thing, root down with the palms, the arms are engaged, we're lifting our heart. A few breaths like this. And then if you want to bring the shoulders together, creates a little pillow, the head can drop back. Head lifts. We can lean forward again, take the weight out of the hands. You can shake it out, flick water off your fingers or that motion of, right? Okay. We're going to set up for our first yin pose. We'll be in this pose for about 4 minutes. So it can be nice to have all your props towards the back of your mat where your head will be. So if you need them, you need to adjust. You don't have to move too much. In yin, we want the muscles to turn off, and then gravity sets into the body and it gives a nice pull to the connective tissue. So if we're moving around or constantly adjusting, we're not getting all that benefit. So we're going to do a little back bending pose, and I'm going to back bend over this bolster for my fish pose, and I'll have something behind for the head. Now, if you don't have your bolster, you can put your gorgeous ball here. You can do a block and a little blanket. Customize it. Some days I want a really deep back bend. Some days I want a little back bend. Your body will tell you, right? It's less about what we think is right or wrong. Now for this one, our legs are going to extend out straight. But if that doesn't feel good, you could always bend the knees and bring the feet to the mat. You'll have to try it on once you get down there. I get my little timer so we stay, oh gosh, what did I just say? So we stay on track here. Okay, so my bolster gives a really deep back bend, and I could always switch it out for a folded or rolled up blanket or a block if that felt too much. And then put your block on a height where it feels good for the neck. Maybe that's the highest height, lowest height. Maybe you like the head totally dropping back, opening up the throat area. And then the arms will extend out in a T shape where they can rest on the body. And we'll do this for a few minutes, and then I'll offer another variation where we can work into the arms and the chest a little bit deeper. Close your eyes. Tune into the breath. We use that breath as a vehicle to kind of get ourselves out of thinking about the past or thinking about the future, if we're doing this right or that right. More into a state of just being and feeling in this present moment. And just know that whatever you feel, whatever works, whatever doesn't work, it's all okay and meant to be. We have these wave and cyclical, right, ebbs and flows of life, where things are good or we perceive things as not so good, or we thought things were one way or they're somewhere else. And we can't always predict what that will be, but we can predict that it will be. Right? And as we breathe, you can go deeper into your pose just by focusing your breath to the area of the body that we're working intensely now. The front of the chest, the arms, the back. In this last minute of the pose, what tension can you let go of? Between the eyebrows, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. No need to hold on. This pose, fish pose, can be a very therapeutic one to counter our day-to-day, right? If you're feeling like you've done a lot of driving or computer work, this is a great pose to do kind of before you fall asleep at night. Use your bed pillows. Okay, we'll start to bend the knees, if not already, so that the feet come to the mat. And I'm gonna roll to my left side. As I roll to the left side, my bolster, whatever support you were using for the previous pose, is now pressing into your left side ribs. And so this is where the blanket can come handy if you're using a block. It might feel too much, although sometimes the block is almost like a massage. So you might like a harder prop under there. And you want your left shoulder to be relaxed, your left arm to be relaxed and almost hanging down behind your prop. And then just as our previous pose, whatever prop is supporting your head, you could put it on a higher spot, a lower spot. You can take it away so that your head is just dropping and hanging, and that might feel like a nice little stretch into the right side of the neck. The purpose of this pose now is working into the side of the heart. And so on the upper side, on the right side, we're getting some stretch, right? Some extension. And then on the left side, we're getting that compression. And the right arm can rest wherever, especially if you're already feeling a lot. If you want to go deeper, the right arm could dangle up and over. And I have the prop underneath my head so high, right? I got this little pillow supporting my head that my right arm rests easily on my head. But if there's space there as you reach your arm up and over, you might put a prop there or try putting the prop underneath your head a little bit higher so that your arm can rest. But again, it can always come down if this doesn't feel great. My knees are bent and they're stacked, but that's just because that's what's comfortable for me. You could have your knees staggered a little bit, either way. And you could even have your legs straight. And you might try those on as a way just to kind of tap into that body feeling, which is what yin is all about, knowing by feeling. You can just try different things on and give yourself a moment for your gut to kind of respond. Yes, that's good. And then go with that one. As we take a few more moments on this side, take some deep breath and imagine your rib cage is filling up on your inhale and softening on your exhale. And we'll switch sides. So the right arm can come down. You can roll over onto your back. And for this one, I think I'll just be facing away from you, opposed to changing my orientation. We'll let our knees fall to the right and we'll roll onto our right side. Now our prop, bolster block or gorgeous ball, rolled up blanket is pressing into the right side ribs, and my right shoulder, my right arm is kind of hanging down towards the ground lazily. And then I can play with any extension or placement of the left arm to see what feels best. The left arm can come down. Maybe you take a breath or two first. And then we'll push ourselves up to a seat and we'll change our orientation. If you had, or whatever prop you used for your back bends, you might keep it. And now this will be a prop where we rest our chest. We're still working into our back bends for this next pose, but we're changing our orientation. So our back will be up and our chest will be melting down towards the ground. It's a kneeling pose, melting heart. So I've got a little cushion extra on my mat, but I like to put this blanket there too. Right, the knees are kind of always the first to go, right? It's kind of a simple joint. They take a lot of brunt in our day-to-day. So let's give them a little life of luxury and yin with some extra padding. Okay. So in this melting heart pose, I'm going to keep my hips over my knees, opposed to sitting back like child's pose. And then I'm going to bring my chest to that prop as I walk my arms out forward. And right now it feels comfortable for me to rest my chin on my bolster. But if you're using a different prop and that doesn't feel that way for you, you could always use a block or something underneath your forehead. And the more bend I bring to my elbows, the easier this will be on my shoulders. Also, I can take my hands wider to lessen the intensity, or I can bring my arms a bit more narrow to intensify, right? Now, one thing that I like to do is use this prop under the chest as a little bit of a massage, almost to give a little pin and stretch. So when you're in this pose, you can feel your chest pressing to your prop. If you almost try to slide yourself forward, but not so much that you actually do, it has a way of stretching the connective tissue between your underarms and your chest, which could be nice if you're looking to go deeper. And now we'll extend the legs back. Let the front of the hips come down to the mat, coming into this supported sphinx. You might slide yourself back so that whatever prop was underneath your chest is now still under your chest, but also kind of supporting your arms as they extend out. Kind of looks like I'm doing Superman pose here. And this is, or should be, a little bit of a back bend, not too intense, but you can move the prop if it's feeling too much and hold yourself up on your forearms. And you should feel a little compression in the lower back, not so much in the upper back here, but we're getting a little chest compression from our prop. If you want to go deeper, you need a little bit more intensity. You can walk your forearms to your prop, and that will make the back bend greater. But if you notice that the muscles of your seat are clenching up, you can't soften that and relax. It keeps clenching, that it's probably too high, and you can bring your chest back down to your prop. Okay, we have 1 more minute in the pose. You can come down if you need to rest, stay as you are, or in this variation where we go deeper, I'll offer seal. You may or may not have to move your prop to do this, but the palms will press and the arms straighten and lift. Depending on how close you walk your hands towards your body, will kind of play into if this is a deeper back bend for you or not. And you can always walk your hands further away if you need to lessen the intensity. You can also kind of grip the sides of your mat if you need help staying in place. And then you can also let your chest sink forward, which will give a little extra compression for the upper back and the shoulders here. Right, and just the onset of sensation doesn't necessarily mean that the variation or the depth is bad for us. But if we can't breathe into it, if we can't soften muscularly, or if it creates worry or anxiousness in the mind, it's no bueno. Right, not good. When we come out of this pose, you can take 1 or 2 more breaths. Slowly bring your chest all the way down to the ground. Take your elbows nice and wide, stack your palms and rest your forehead. This takes us out of our back bend. It brings or starts to bring some space into the vertebrae by coming to more of a neutral spine. And we can create more space by sending our inhales in and around the areas where we feel that there's kind of a remnants of the pose. We'll change our orientation again. You can push yourself up towards hands and knees, and we'll set up for some seated postures. And seated postures, especially this one that we're going to take, a shoelace twist, there's a wrapping of the legs, which usually requires our body to be slightly higher off the ground in our seat than in a normal or another yin yoga pose or seated pose that we might do. So usually for my sitting poses, I have my blanket unfolded like this, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it one more time, kind of double that thickness, just to make sure I have the lift that I need to get my spine in a spot where I can kind of maintain the integrity of the shape. So I've come to sit now on this prop, and I'll go ahead and start by extending the legs out straight. And then from here, you'll bend the right leg and see where the right foot comes down to the mat. It might be closer to your seat. It could be further away. You want the spine to still feel upright, okay? Now I have this right foot to the ground. I'm gonna hop it over to the other side of the left leg. If that doesn't feel good though, in your outer right hip, you can just return the foot over. And now if it's okay on the knee, go ahead and lean to the left and bend the left knee, and the left foot will tuck back towards the right hip. All right, so this is shoelace pose. I see from the video I've got like black on black, so it's kind of hard to tell what I'm doing, right? But my legs are wrapping, so it's this rotation, internal rotation of the hips going on. And then we'll take the pose into a twist, a little clearing before we come into our forward fold postures. So my right hand will come to rest behind me. I'm on my fingertips. My lift isn't so much where I need a block, but you might bring a block behind you to press your right hand into. And that kind of anchors us upright because we want to twist without back bending or leaning forward. So then my left hand can reach over for my right leg, and I can gently turn to maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, see how that feels. If you want to go deeper, the left arm can come up and over the right leg, and you can use that as leverage. And we'll hold this side for about 3 minutes. And over the course of time, you might feel your spine loosen up. And what that means is that you might find that you can go deeper without any more effort. And if that's the case, you might go deeper. The gaze, taking the twist all the way up into the neck, might look over your back shoulder. This is a great twist to work the upper back. Quality of our breath will always tell us if we've gone too far. We can't breathe steady and easily and fully, then we back up. untwist the torso. We'll extend the legs out, coming through this neutral staff pose for a moment. Right, feel the blood rushing in through the legs. Feel any aftermath in the spine and the upper body from that first side. And to the second side we go. The left leg will bend and the foot comes to the mat. Right? Could be close to the knee, could be closer to the seat, depending on comfort. And then the left leg will hop over, the left foot hops over to the other side of the right leg. I'll lean to the right and my right leg will bend at the knee and my foot comes back towards the left hip. Sitting up nice and tall, my left hand will tent behind me, maybe to the mat or a block. My right arm can gently hold the left leg as I come to twist to maybe 11 or 10 o'clock. As I feel my body open to the pose, which is likely not right at this moment, you might go deeper by bringing the right arm up and over that left leg as leverage so you could twist deeper without too much muscular effort in that right shoulder. And we could feel out the twist in the upper cervical spine by bringing the gaze over the back shoulder. And untwist. Extend the legs out. Okay, I'm going to keep my seat as is, but you may adjust as we come into our second upright posture, which will be butterfly. So in butterfly, my bottoms of my feet come together and my knees fall out. Unless you're probably a dancer, your knees are probably lifted like mine. So assess how gravity feels pulling the legs out. If that's a little too much on the inner leg line, I'm feeling like that way myself. You could take props underneath the outer edges of the knees. And then we're going to come into a forward fold with an eagle bind. And so in a normal forward fold, and you could take this variation too, the hands would come down to the ground or to a prop to support you. And this eagle bind where we wrap kind of opposite hand to opposite shoulder, gravity might be pulling me down too much. So I'm going to take a prop. I'm going to use my bolster and kind of put it on top of my feet, just so that I have something to lean into in case gravity becomes too much. And you might need more than this, right? You might need to put a blanket on top or a gorgeous ball on top or another block or a pillow to get it up the right height. We'll take the arms out nice and wide. And as you take the arms out nice and wide, reach through the fingers, right? Feel that expansiveness going up your arm, across your chest and down the other side. And then we'll go ahead and wrap, we'll hug. Now as you give yourself a hug, opposite hand to shoulder, just notice which arm is on top. It's my left arm, but you should keep whatever arm that you had on top first, and we'll do it for a couple minutes on each side, and we'll switch sides in between. And then from here, we'll come into a fold. And now I get to see if what I set up is working out for me. And it is. It's supporting me, it's catching me, it's not too much sensation. So then I'll let my head go and we'll rest here a couple minutes. Hopefully you're comfortable enough in this posture where you can really send and work the breath. Now we're having some compression or contraction of the chest, and it's purposeful in that we're really opening up our shoulder blades and breathing into the back of our heart. All right, we'll switch things out. As you bring the torso upright, we'll keep the lower body as it is. Take another big open where you reach the hands out wide, stretch through the fingertips, and then hopefully you remember which arm is on top. I think I mixed it up. We'll have the other arm on top, and then we'll come into that fold one more time into our props. 2 more minutes. There's a saying or a belief, a misconception that forward folding is bad for us. And it's not that forward folding is bad for us, is doing so without a mindfulness, without a purpose for too long in one way may be bad. But it's good to move the spine in all ranges of motion, finding our edge and working with breath and stillness there. It has the effect of strengthening our spine, nourishing our spine at the ranges of its mobility. All right. Reach the torso up. Open up the arms one more time. Give a big stretch. And then you can release the arms down. Okay. So we are going to do a little yoga nidra as a form of meditation. Yoga is a form of meditation when we focus in on the body, so acutely to our breath. It's really hard to let the mind drift to the past or the present or whatever worries are in there. Now in Yoga Nidra, we'll put the body in a really restful state where hopefully we don't have any sensation. And we'll just take some notice about where sensation still might be living in the body. And then I have a little story for you and a little meditation. So whatever prop you were using for your back bending or into your forward folding, we'll now put that underneath our knees. So if you have blocks, you might have a block under the left knee, a block under the right knee. I have my bolster. And whatever you were sitting on, you can go ahead and set that aside. You might use it, you might not. It's good to have things handy. And then my legs aren't in a super wide V, but they're definitely not together. We call this kind of a starfish variation of our Shavasana. And then we'll come and lay down, and the arms can be outstretched, not in a T shape, but a low V with the palms facing up. And you want to feel completely comfortable. We're going to be still for about, say, 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So tuck your props underneath you and around you if you see fit. If the ground is cold, you could put a blanket underneath you. Your arms are off your mat. And we'll start with a guided relaxation where we just walk through the body and we notice. We'll start by bringing our awareness to our third eye center, which is the space right in between the eyebrows. Notice if there's muscular tension there and if you can soften. We'll bring our awareness to our eyes. Can you let your eyes relax into the sockets? Allow our cheeks to soften, our jaw, our tongue. Imagine the whole connective tissue of the face is just widening and spreading down towards the ground like pizza dough draped over a ball. Bringing your awareness to your throat, can you let the muscle of the tongue soften deep into the neck? Let go of the muscles holding at the back of the neck. And the connective tissue that runs across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. Can you let that soften and widen too as the muscles let go? And allowing the mat to really hold the weight of your body, your shoulders firmly to the ground. Bringing your awareness into your arms. Can you imagine that they're heavy sandbags pulling down to the earth? Can you send some nice breath into your upper chest? And feel the rise and fall as you breathe in and out. Can you let your abdomen fill with breath? And feel your abdomen rise and fall. Notice if there's any muscles in the legs still working to either hold the legs in or out. And you switch them off and let the legs fall in any which way that gravity is pulling. And all of this hidden tension that we can hold in the body really chokes the breath and the energy from moving freely. So as we take a few breaths in quiet and stillness, can you just imagine that the breath and energy is now flowing freely throughout your whole body? And once upon a time, there was a girl. And this girl was upset because she was always in conflict. And the conflict was mostly between her head and her heart. Her heart was always judgmental about the decisions her head had made in the past. And her head was always worried that her heart wasn't going to make the best decision for the future. She could not get a moment's peace. So one miraculous moment where they both seemed to be sleeping, she crept out of her chest and she slid down her spine and she ended up in her gut. And she had a nice conversation, and her gut, which always seemed to offer good advice, said, why don't you go spend some time with the lungs? So she crawled up her spine into her lungs. She watched her breath come in. She watched her breath go out. She watched her breath come in. And she watched her breath come out. Her lungs and her breath completely rooted in the present moment. Could not worry about the future. Could not be sad or angry about the past. And she found this moment of peace. Start to bring some small movement back into your body. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Circle the wrists and the ankles. Bend the knees and bring the feet to the mat, pushing any props out from underneath you or over you that might be in your way. And then bring the knees in towards the chest, give them a little squeeze and a rock side to side. And you can roll to one side or rock and roll and come up to the feet. Sitting nice and tall, find some length in your spine. Right, just notice the space you created in your body and in your mind. And bring our hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, with gratitude for everything that we have. We take a breath in, exhale out. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, evening, day, whatever time it is that you're taking this class. And take care.